Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. On this edition of Urban Perspectives, we'll spotlight the Minneapolis sound and some of the artists that helped make the Twin Cities a hotbed for music worldwide. We're about to jam on this edition of Urban Perspectives. My first guest is the frontman for F Deluxe and a member of the first family of Minnesota music, the Petersons. She's the former lead singer of Prince-inspired group The Family and keyboardist with the international R&B group The Time, and also the program chair at the Minneapolis Media Institute. Please welcome Paul, a.k.a. St. Paul Peterson. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Pete.
I am so glad that you can be here with me as we talk about the Minneapolis sound and its influences on music worldwide.
Absolutely.
And Paul, you hail from a very musical family, the Petersons. And with all your brothers and sisters, I'm sure your home was just filled with music day by day. How did it help to influence your music and your style, your musical journey?
Well, I'm the youngest of the whole clan, so it was the trickle-down theory for me. I basically got my training through osmosis. You know, I didn't really know any better. We all my brothers and sisters would play, my mom, my dad would play, and so there was music in the house all the time. So I thought that every kid had that same environment. Obviously, that's not the case, but I was just so blessed to have an upbringing like that and encouraged to explore the arts.
So, knowing all of the music that happened in the 80s and the 90s on the Minneapolis scene, you were involved with some of those major groups, as I spoke about in the top of the show there, with The Time and Family and others. How did you get in that mix?
God, you know, it's a funny story. I was just graduated from high school. I was up on a small vacation with my dearest friend Brett Ward, and I got a phone call from my brother-in-law, Stuart Pastor, that said, "You better get your butt back to Richfield because I have an audition scheduled for you with this group, The Time." And I'm like, "You're kidding me." So I hurried back into my vacation early, and you know, they delivered a cassette to Mom's house. That's where I was at, and I had to learn, I would say, about 8 or 9 songs the night before the rehearsal. I had to learn how to play them, and I was playing keyboards at that time. Right. So I had to learn how to play them, memorize them, make sure I could dance, which I really couldn't dance, but you know, they worked with me.
You made it happen.
They worked with me, and you know, memorize everything and be able to do everything by the next day, and it all worked out. Next thing I knew, I was in The Time, being, you know, replacing Jimmy or Monty, however you want to look at it. And the journey began. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah, well, you know, you did a fantastic job. I can remember you at the prom center with us.
Oh,
we
man.
have pictures of that.
Well, we have a long history together, don't we?
Exactly. It looked like you knew what you were doing.
Well, I'm glad I fooled you. Maybe I fooled a few other folks, too.
Well, you came back with this new group called F Deluxe.
Yes.
And with some of all of the original members, you played at Carnegie Hall. You also played at the Minnesota Black Music Awards.
Thank you for that.
How did your old fans and your new fans take to the new formation group?
You know, it was an interesting journey because when we decided to get the family back together, that's really who it is. It's a resurgence of the old band, The Family, with the exception of Jerome, who decided not to join us, but we totally respect that. But when we did a couple of concerts, one for Sheila E.'s foundation, and then Questlove, who was a fan of the group, asked us to come and play his pre-Grammy party, we all looked at each other and said, you know, this is pretty fun. We better think about getting back together. So we did, and when I was touring with Kenny Loggins, I would stop and write the bulk of the first record, our comeback record, with Susanna in California. And, you know, we just had to get to know each other musically because we didn't write any of the first record. That was all Prince. So we had to figure out who we were musically, and we were, you know, 25 years worth of salt and pepper, shall we say. So we had to figure out who we were musically and how we would fit this thing together, yet keeping an idea of what the old band was, but not relying so much on that. So it really was a discovery for us, and it was a, it was a long process. I think it took us 4.5 years to get that first record out.
Well, fantastic job on it. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the performances. You gotta see it if you can. The other thing that you're doing out of the many things, you're a program chair over at the Minneapolis Media Institute,
yes,
which is a great school in the Twin Cities for this industry. How has your experience helped the students?
I got to say that I never thought I'd see myself as an educator, because I'm not formally trained. My family, as I said, basically trained me, and then I was blessed enough to have a fun career. But getting into education has really changed my perspective on everything, and being able to give back to the next generation of producers and engineers and live sound people and post-production people, and being able to share my experiences with them has been such an experience, such a great thing. And it really making a difference in a young person's life.
That's a lot.
That's what it's all about.
That's great. Now, real quickly here, you have a new piece that you're doing, and we can see you around the Twin Cities. What's the name of the group and who's in it?
Oh, LP Music.
Yeah.
LP Music is Eric Leeds, a Grammy Award-winning saxophonist who also was in The Family and the New Power Generation. Actually, yeah, the New Power Generation. But he and I are old friends, and we play around town, and it's basically a group that is an instrumental group, and we do jazz and funk, and we make it up as we go along. And we get to play with folks like Stokley Williams and Peter Shimke.
That's great.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Paul Peterson, I want to thank you for being here with me on this edition of Urban Perspectives. Got to come back.
I'm honored. Thank you so much for having me.
Coming up, I'll talk one-on-one with the multi-Grammy Award winner and music director of one of the world's most inspiring groups here on Urban Perspectives. Perfect. This is Pete Rhodes introducing Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park, voted by Minnesota Bride magazine as the best jeweler for 3 years in a row. Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park is homegrown, and you can count on them for extraordinary commitment to value, service, and selection with one of the largest selections of diamonds, gold bracelets, earrings, wedding and engagement rings, and the best selection of watches for her and for him. Continental Diamond. Come in for that special jewelry gift for the season and get the deal of a lifetime at Continental Diamond.
Young Americans between the ages of 13 and 24 are contracting HIV at a rate of 2 per hour. Knowledge is power. Guard yourself.
Declare war on this disease. Get tested and know your status.
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 Remember, a moment of pleasure can cause a lifetime of pain.
My health care, I'd make it so I had options.
Yep, we like options.
I'd also make my health plan simple. I don't want to get bogged down trying to figure out Medicare. I've already got plenty on my plate. Speaking of which... What?
Seriously?
Great benefits and a simple, affordable approach to Medicare. You care. Health care that starts with you.
Twin Cities. Tune into the new social network, Comcast Channel 937 BMA, for the best in local and national artists in R&B, hip-hop, gospel, jazz, 24 hours a day. The new social network is BMA, Channel 937 on Comcast, featuring faces, places, spaces, local news, national views, and music all day. Tune into the new social network, Comcast BMA Channel 937, and watch what we play. Welcome back to Urban Perspectives. I'm truly optimistic having my next guest keeping our heads to the sky on our journey to Africa to America. Now, these are 3 of the numerous song titles and lyrics written and arranged by this hometown music giant, who's like a brother to me, actually. Please welcome the director of the Grammy Award-winning Sounds of Blackness, Mr. Gary Hines. Gary, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. You know, we were looking over the historic history of the Sounds of Blackness, and you're now celebrating over 45 years of music excellence. How do you think the Sounds of Blackness music has influenced not only the Minneapolis sound, but worldwide?
Well, we've been blessed to be a part of this concept that is now a reality called the Global Village.
Yeah.
There are now groups in Asia, in Africa, in South America, and Europe that basically are extended family members of Sounds of Blackness that have patterned themselves after us with the music of the African American experience for all people and with messages of inspiration.
So when you look at, when we first met, it was like in the early 80s. I know you were, your mother Hines was a facet, a part of our awards program overall.
Right.
And how did she, we know that she performed with the greats, the Duke Ellingtons and others. How did she help to influence your style of music?
Well, growing up in New York and growing up around all the music of Doris Hines, not only jazz, but all different styles of music, and then of course when we moved to Minneapolis, it was a great influence on what Sounds of Blackness is and does, and it still is to this day.
So, you know, the Sounds, just recently we saw them at the Caboose, playing for the Funky Town family reunion.
Yeah.
That was kind of to help our friend Lance Alexander, but as well, I see in the faces of the performers in the group that was an important piece. Why was it so important?
Well, like you say, Pete, it was important to help our brother Lance Alexander. We give him a love shout as well, and all of his colleagues in Low Key and all of our former label mates, Mint Condition and Next and all. They were all there to help out. But it was also a reunion, like you say, of the Minneapolis sound. And so we're, as Sounds of Blackness, just so blessed and honored to be a part of that tradition.
Yeah, so Lance did a lot, I gather, in a number of the songs that you talked about in terms of helping with drum programming and a lot of other things.
Yes, Lance was an integral part of Sounds of Blackness sound. Jam and Lewis would be the first to tell you that. Also live performances, when Sounds of Blackness did a tour of the HBCUs, the historically black colleges and universities, Low Key hit the road with us, and so you know, we have live stage experience and studio experience, and nothing but love for Lance and Low Key.
Now, the Sounds have played around the world, representing Minneapolis and Minnesota on a lot of different occasions. I know a lot of us are watching soccer now. It's a big thing that's happening in the world. Some of the things that you guys have played in, which has been the most inspiring for you?
Probably our first sojourn to Africa in Ghana and Accra on Cape Coast, because after years of singing about the motherland, to finally go there, even Richard Pryor said that everyone of our descent should go. I think all people should go at least once in their lives, and you'll never be the same. And we've never been the same since, and you know, we just cherish that.
You know, when you look at the Sounds of Blackness and the kind of music that you put together, what would you say the style of the Sounds of Blackness is overall for a viewing audience?
Well, the style is what the name says, Sounds of Blackness. Every sound of the black African-American experience. Work songs, field hollers, ragtime, rock and roll. A lot of people forget rock and roll is black music. Blues, jazz, gospel, R&B, hip hop, of course. All of these are sounds from the culture, and that the world acknowledges and admires, really, and emulates. And so we say that this is the music of our culture. We share it with all people with messages of inspiration.
Yeah. You know, you've worked with Prince, Jam and Lewis, two of the great producers and artists in music today. How did their style influence you, and how do you keep getting fresh with the sounds each year?
Well, as you say, Pete, we've been blessed as Sounds of Blackness to work with Jam and Lewis and with Prince, and the relationships go back to like the 70s, before any of that happened for any of us, playing the Northside Festival and playing the Miss Black Minnesota pageant. Many times, the Flight Time Band, as it was still called then, would be the end act, and Sounds of Blackness would open up the show, would lift every voice. So we spent a lot of time backstage together, and the same with Prince. But in the studio, There was a lot of hands-on collaboration, and we treasure that. Jam and Lewis certainly nurtured and guided us in the studio and groomed us to be producers and writers.
That's great. Now, any new projects that we can expect coming up from Sounds of Blackness here?
Yes, sir. We want to let all your viewers know that Sounds of Blackness are coming out with our first live CD, The Sounds of Blackness Live, with special guests, ACWC, the Acapella College of Wiley College.
Yes.
And we're looking to release that this fall. So we want all your viewers to stay in touch with us at soundsofblackness.com and on our Facebook page.
Well, we are so glad and honored that you, Big Brother, are here with me today to talk a little bit about the Sounds of Blackness and let everyone know how great you are and the group and how great you have been for our overall culture and this community that we stay in. So thank you so much for being here, Gary.
Thank you, brother. It's all only by the grace of God and by the support of good people like you, my brother.
Amen, amen.
Yes, sir.
Gary Hines, thank you so much. Now, for more information on the Lance Alexander Trust, which we support, you can visit the urbanperspectives.tv for more information. Thanks again, Gary Hines.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, we present Shining Stars, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the culture of the urban community. Our shining star this week is an up-and-coming artist on the music scene. Meet our shining star, Brendan Commodore.
My name is Brandon Commodore. I'm a musician, a drummer, producer, and songwriter. For the last 6 years, I've been a touring drummer with Mint Condition. I recently started my own band called MPLS. I've also performed and recorded with the Sounds of Blackness and other Twin Cities acts. MPLS is a band right here based in the Twin Cities. It's a young, fun, energetic band that MPLS is a band where you can't quite figure out why you've heard it before, but you've never heard it before. It's like we try to fuse what's happening, in today's music with hip hop and R&B and neo soul with that Minneapolis sound that we've been talking about. So it's this marriage that happens between, it's like bridging the gap between that Minneapolis funk of the 80s and then some of the popular stuff that's happening now. My mother and father are Ginger and Bobby Commodore. Well, my parents are both original members in the Sounds of Blackness from way back in the McAllister days. And so I was definitely exposed to a lot of gospel as a kid, a lot of gospel music, and then late 80s they made their shift into a jazz ensemble, and they were able to tour the world doing that. So that opened me up the most. When thinking about where I want to see myself in the next 5 years, it's hard to say, only because right now I'm in this real vulnerable stage to where now I'm going to be judged on my writing and things like that now, which is a new thing for me. This is my first, with the MPLS project, it's the first time people are going to hear what my writing abilities are and things like that. So if I find out I'm good at it, then I plan to keep writing. I'm definitely going to keep producing. So the goal for the next 5 years is to establish myself, off the drums as a music producer and a songwriter, and music business as well is a big interest of mine also. This is Brandon Commodore, and you are now watching Urban Perspectives.
Stevie Wonder says he's one of the best musicians in today's music. Find out what makes this artist #1 on our charts here on Urban Perspectives. This is Pete Rhodes introducing Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park, voted by Minnesota Bride magazine as the best jeweler for 3 years in a row. Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park is homegrown, and you can count on them for extraordinary commitment to value, service, and selection with one of the largest selections of diamonds, gold bracelets, earrings, wedding and engagement rings, and the best selection of watches for her and for him. Continental Diamond. Come in for that special jewelry gift for the season and get the deal of a lifetime at Continental Diamond.
Young Americans between the ages of 13 and 24 are contracting HIV at a rate of 2 per hour. Knowledge is power. Guard yourself.
Declare war on this disease. Get tested and know your status.
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 Remember, a moment of pleasure can cause a lifetime of pain.
My health care, I'd make it so I had options.
Yep, we like options.
I'd also make my health plan simple. I don't want to get bogged down trying to figure out Medicare. I've already got plenty on my plate. Speaking of which,
Seriously?
Great benefits and a simple, affordable approach to Medicare. You care. Health care that starts with you.
Twin Cities. Tune into the new social network, Comcast Channel 937 BMA, for the best in local and national artists in R&B, hip-hop, gospel, jazz, 24 hours a day. The new social network is BMA, Channel 937 on Comcast, featuring faces, places, spaces, local news, national views, and music all day. Tune into the new social network, Comcast BMA Channel 937, and watch what we play. My next guest is a member of today's hottest live R&B band, one of the first groups signed by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis to Perspective Records, and they are the mainstay at the Essence Music Festival and multiple Minnesota Black Music Awards and Gold Record recipients. From the group Mint Condition, please welcome Stokley Williams. What's up, Stoke?
How you doing, man?
Glad to have you here with us.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's a rarity in today's music to have real live performances by some of the bands. What makes Mint Condition's performances so powerful and talked about?
I think just connecting with the people. You know, we did that since day one, going out and just grassroots promotion. We come from an era, you know, looking at bands of the, 70s and 80s who just, they did the good work with the people. And I think just learning how to connect, learning the science of the stage and, just of the room. I think all these things really just connecting with the people over and over, find out what part of the country you're in. All these little things, just learning over and over, just trial and error.
You find that different parts of the country that you're in, how people react to your performances? Yeah,
it depends. They like different things. And DC is a different vibe than the Midwest, than out west. It's cool. South is different a little bit, but they all come together for the same, celebration of life and everything that we're talking about. So.
Your dad, Professor Mahmoud El-Kati, an elder in our community and one that provides us with knowledge and wisdom ongoing. We love him dearly. How did he influence you personally and the group's overall style?
Oh my goodness! I mean, he's relentless with his. He can't help being a teacher. That's who he is. So I mean, since day one. I mean, I've always been right there, right next to him. Whether I be over north with him at meetings, and just by example, was a big influence. I've always had very strong male influences. He's always, kind of placed me in areas where I could see. Because kids, they way more is caught than taught. Kids learn through looking, and you can teach them, but really just seeing it. So he was just an example, and that was the biggest influence. Just not even just the music, but just how he lives his life.
Yeah, great. I heard that he had some bongos or congos around, and when you first started, he heard you playing them. That's a great story about how he thought you had it going on even then.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, so young, and I guess he was impressed with the rhythmic pattern that I was doing. It sounded like something like a grown-up should be doing, and they were in bed, I guess, like, "What, do you hear that?" That kind of thing. So, and I knew somebody at that point who was in a African dance troupe, and I actually ended up joining that group, playing right out here in Minneapolis somewhere. It was my first gig, and I was like 4. Amazing.
You actually hail from St. Paul. People, equate you with the Minneapolis sound, the capital of Minnesota, doubt. You met your friends and fellow group members over in that area. Y'all went to the same school?
St. Paul Central, yep. And we played behind a lot of different groups. I was playing drums a lot, and every time we got together, the chemistry was right, and it just was right. I mean, we had a magnet arts school over at St. Paul Central, where they had steel drum class, they had recording arts. So we all kind of came through there at different times. Lawrence is the oldest, and he came through there and just kind of like a stair step. And we just kept it moving, man. It just felt good every time we did it. Like, we need to do our own thing. So, here we are.
And that's when y'all came together for us, fortunately, on back in the early 90s on the Minnesota Black Music Awards. And I mean, just captivated the audience. I mean, you've been involved with a lot of things here in the Twin City area, but how has, you think, Mint Condition influenced the Minneapolis sound overall?
First of all, thanks to you again, man. I always got kudos to you, everything that you do around the cities for everyone.
Appreciate it.
And
You know, how have we influenced? You know, I think just by example, you know, our drummer, Brandon Commodore, has his own group, MPLS. I think a direct influence, but also not only us, but everybody whom he's played with, the Sounds of Blackness, incredible, you know, Gary Hines and these people like that. You know, the Steels, you know, this great gospel family who's been here for years, and so many others. You know, we always have, you know, we both play drums, so we have all these little gigs that we do around town with these little groups, and you know, all these things kind of influence each other. And I think just by example, but just being out in the public eye for people to see, you're on display. So you know, every time you're there, you better hit it.
You better hit it right.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, you know, I know you have other projects that you're doing that's coming up. Can you share some of them with us?
Yeah, we just wrapped on this doing a lot of production and writing right now. You know, this guy named Dwayne Woods, who's a gospel singer. Just wrapped. I just did a song with this guy's smooth jazz artist named Tim Bowman. You'll be hearing from him. What we're doing right now, we're trying to showcase some of the lesser known catalog, you know, all the way from say 2004 to up to now. You know, the stuff that, you know, the What Kind of Man, you know, the Swinging and Pretty Brown Eyes, but there's some stuff that a lot of people don't know that we've been doing the last 10 to 12 years. So
we're looking forward to seeing it, man. No doubt about it. We'll keep you on our radar as everybody else in the country is doing, and appreciate what you do. Appreciate the group and appreciate your support ongoing.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your support, man.
Stokley Williams.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you now for watching Urban Perspectives. I really want to thank you and thank my guests, Paul Peterson, Gary Hines, Stokley Williams, and you, the audience, for getting up. And remember, there are great things going on in our cities, and you can find out about them right here on Urban Perspectives. I want you to enjoy the week's feature of Funky Town Family Reunion Photos. It's a benefit for Lance Alexander as well. I'm Pete Rhodes, and I'll see you next week.